Have you ever sat beside someone you've loved for decades and still felt alone? Maybe the house is quiet, but not in a peaceful way, more like the silence between two people who've run out of ways to touch. You cook dinner, fold laundry, share a bed, but somewhere along the way, something softer slipped away, something harder to name. It's not about romance novels or candlelit evenings, it's about those small, invisible threads, the look that says, I still see you. The hand that finds yours without asking, the feeling that your heart is still heard, even if the words don't come out just right. Many senior women whisper this quietly to themselves. I miss feeling close. I miss being understood. I miss being held, not just physically, but emotionally. And if you've ever felt that ache in the middle of a perfectly ordinary day, you are not broken. And you are most certainly not alone. What if I told you that intimacy isn't something that fades forever with age? That emotional connection doesn't disappear. It just waits for us to invite it back. Because today we're going to explore 3 simple daily habits that many wise women over 60 are quietly using. Not to chase something new, but to rekindle what was always there. And chances are one of these habits could help you feel closer, deeper, and more seen. Starting today. Let's begin. There's a certain kind of silence that settles into long relationships. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that forgets to look up, to pause, to see. After years, sometimes decades of shared routines, it's easy to go through a whole day without really meeting each other's eyes. You pass one another in the kitchen, fold laundry in the same room, share meals, a bed, a life. But when was the last time you truly looked at him, not just to speak or to judge, but to witness? One of the simplest, most quietly powerful habits senior women have shared with us here at Comfort Corner is this: a 10-second eye ritual, done once a day. That's it. No candles, no therapy, no speeches, just 10 seconds of intentional eye contact. First thing in the morning, or the moment he walks in the door, or maybe right before bed. Just pause, turn toward him and look, not through him, not past him, but into him, the man you've walked beside through all the chaos and quiet. Let your eyes say what words sometimes can't. I see you. I'm still here, and you still matter to me. Now, this may feel strange at first. Some couples giggle, others feel a little uncomfortable. That's okay. That's just the rust shaking off. What's happening underneath is far more important. Psychologists from institutions like Harvard and Stanford have long studied the power of eye contact in emotional bonding. Even 10 seconds a day can lower cortisol, increase oxytocin, the hormone that fosters trust and closeness, and signals safety to the nervous system. Think of it as watering a plant you didn't realize was wilting. A few intentional drops each day, and suddenly the leaves begin to lift again. You might start noticing other shifts too. His body softens around you, your voice becomes gentler, the room feels less like shared space and more like shared presence. And if this feels small, remember, it's not. In relationships, subtle is sacred. So tomorrow morning, or maybe tonight, give it a try. No pressure, no performance, just 10 seconds, one look, a tiny act of bravery in the name of connection. And if you'd like to walk this journey with us, if this message resonates with your heart, please consider subscribing to Comfort Corner. There's a whole community here gently rediscovering what intimacy truly means. Let's continue. Because the next habit brings words back into the picture. Not loud ones, but soft sentences that can heal years of silence. Words can build bridges, or they can quietly build walls. And sometimes in long relationships, it's not the shouting that hurts us. It's the absence, the long stretches of silence. The days where the only words exchanged are functional. Dinner's ready. Did you take your pills? Turn off the lights. But what if once a day you gave your partner one soft sentence? Just one. Not to solve a problem, not to correct or explain, but to connect. A soft sentence can be simple. I know today was hard. I'm glad you're home. You looked handsome when you were trimming the hedges. Thank you for making coffee this morning. I really noticed. It's not about flattery. It's about recognition. As we grow older, emotional intimacy often requires more intention, not because love fades, but because it gets buried under layers of routine, habit, and fatigue. The one soft sentence practice is about bringing it gently back to the surface. And here's what's beautiful. It doesn't need a response. It doesn't demand a discussion. It simply lands, like a hand resting softly on his shoulder. According to researchers at the University of Washington's Love Lab, couples who regularly engage in positive sentiment override, offering small affirming statements, even during neutral or tense times, are significantly more resilient. That means they're more likely to weather conflict, feel emotionally safe, and maintain affection. And no, you don't have to fake joy. You don't have to act happy. You just have to choose one sentence that comes from a gentle place in you. Maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a noticing, maybe it's just, I like being near you. You'd be amazed how that one line can shift the atmosphere, how the body softens, how the eyes lift, how the heart, so used to holding everything in, suddenly lets something out. Here in this little Comfort Corner community, we often say, small words, when chosen with care, can echo louder than grand declarations. You don't need paragraphs. You just need presence and permission to speak kindness even when it feels overdue. So tonight or tomorrow, offer one soft sentence. No build-up, no expectation. Just speak it and let it float between you. And as that ripple moves outward, know that intimacy isn't always about passion. Sometimes it begins with something as simple as saying, I still notice you. Next, we'll explore something even more primal than words, a language your body already knows, and it's one that doesn't require permission, only intention. There's a kind of touch that asks for nothing. It doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't try to fix, prove, or convince. It simply says, I'm here with you, still. And for many women over 60, this kind of touch has slowly faded, not because love has died, but because life got heavy, because the body changed, because routines replaced romance and caretaking replaced connection. But touch, real, gentle, non-demanding touch, still has the power to awaken what words and glances alone cannot. In fact, it might be the most honest form of intimacy we have left when everything else feels distant. This third daily habit is simple, but profound. One gentle touch a day, with no expectation. Not to spark passion, not to start something, just to connect. A hand rested on his knee while you sit beside each other, a soft palm on his back as you pass behind him in the hallway, a lingering squeeze of the hand during evening prayers or quiet time. And this kind of touch doesn't need to be dramatic or long. It only needs to be real. You see, our skin doesn't stop needing contact just because our hormones shift. According to research published by Harvard Health and Mayo Clinic, even brief, affectionate touch can release oxytocin, the bonding hormone that increases trust, reduces anxiety, and makes us feel emotionally safe. That safety is the true root of intimacy. Not seduction, not performance, safety. When you touch your partner gently, without agenda, you're speaking a language older than words. You're reminding him and yourself that connection is still alive, still welcome, still worthy. And what often happens next is beautiful. His body may lean in, his breathing may slow. He may begin to initiate the same kind of touch, cautiously at first, then with growing comfort. It's important to note, this practice isn't about reigniting sex unless that naturally follows. It's about making space for closeness that doesn't carry pressure, because many men, especially in later years, fear that any touch will be misread or rejected. When you show that touch can be safe again, without strings, without urgency, you open the door to something far deeper than desire. You invite back belonging. And here at Comfort Corner, we believe this. Sometimes the most profound act of love is a hand on a shoulder at the right moment. No words, no expectations, just presence. So tonight, if the moment comes, reach out gently, not for a reaction, but for reconnection. Because touch at its core is how we say, I choose closeness, even in stillness. Next, we'll bring it all together with a gentle summary and a few small steps you can take, starting today. Let's take a gentle breath and reflect. What you've heard today wasn't about changing your partner. It wasn't about grand romantic gestures or dramatic reinvention. It was about returning, quietly, lovingly, to the small moments that still hold power. We began with a 10-second eye ritual. Just a pause, a gaze, a moment of truly seeing the one you've spent so much life with. Not to stir passion, but to say, without words, you still matter to me. Then we spoke of the one soft sentence, a simple phrase of recognition, of noticing, of emotional courage, not meant to fix, but to connect. Because sometimes the gentlest words are the ones we waited too long to say. And finally, we explored the power of gentle, expectation-free touch, a hand on the shoulder, a quiet squeeze, a reminder through skin that closeness hasn't left the room, that belonging is still possible. These habits are not loud. They don't come with fanfare or quick rewards, but they are steady, honest, and real. If you're feeling overwhelmed, start small. Try just one. Look into his eyes for 10 seconds tomorrow. Or speak one kind sentence before bed, or reach out your hand, not to begin something, but simply to be with someone. Because at this stage of life, we no longer need to prove love. We just need to tend to it, gently, like a quiet garden. You don't have to change everything today. You don't even need to tell him what you're doing. Just begin, one soft step at a time, and let these little choices do what they were always meant to, bring you closer to someone who may have never left. Just drifted quietly, waiting to be invited home again. Sometimes love doesn't disappear. It just becomes quieter. It waits behind the day's distractions, the years of habit, the layers of unspoken feelings. And all it takes is one soft moment, a look, a word, a touch, to remind it that it's still welcome. If this video touched something in you, if it reminded you of a closeness you miss or one you're beginning to rebuild, then know this, you're not alone, and it's never too late to choose connection again. Aging doesn't have to mean emotional distance. In fact, the older we get, the more honest and sacred connection can become. Because now, we love without pretending. We listen without rushing. We speak, not to impress, but to mean it. So here's a gentle invitation. Take just one of these habits with you into tomorrow. Let it settle into your day, not as a task, but as a quiet offering. And if it brings even a moment of warmth between you and the one beside you, that's enough. I'm Michael from Comfort Corner, wishing you peace, health, and a heart full of hope.